Running a fashion show for charity is stressful enough, but add a dead body on a runway, a Halloween storm, and a golden cheesehead dating game, and you have a full-on disaster. Today, we chat with TK Sheffield about the award-winning Model Ghost, Book 3 in the Backyard Model Series. Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. I'm Sharon Lynn, and welcome to you, Tracy.
Thank you so much for having me, Sharon. That was a lovely introduction, quite scary.
It is a very, very fun book.
Thank you.
And as I said, award-winning already, plus you've been listed for the Chanticleer International um,
Yes.
Book Awards. So yeah, and well-deserved, certainly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, as we were talking earlier, I just wear my medals around the house just because, like, what else am I gonna do? You know, I just like fun. I
It's
clink
fun.
around. My husband always knows where I am because I'm clinking along.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Pardon me. Um,
Bless you.
well, okay, since you mentioned the word spooky, let's just jump to um, uh, th- our main character, Mel, is a bookstore owner, and books have been flying off the shelves on their own volition, and just some pretty ghostly things are happening. So my first question for you is actually, have you ever been in a haunted place? And if not, did you interview people for this?
Oh, that's such a wonderful question, especially this time of year.
Exactly.
Um, oh, and happy Author's Day, by the way. What the day we're taping is Author Day. But anyway,
Oh, awesome.
um, to your question, yes. I, went to high school in a small town called Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Well, I lived there, long story, went to a different small town, but I resided in Mineral Point and I worked in a wonderful old building, over 100 years old, in high school. And I was a waitress for many, several years. And this building was rumored to be haunted, and there were so many stories. I do have one. I was alone in the evening just talking with another waitress. It was just three of us there. There was a cook in the kitchen, and another waitress and I were talking. And all of a sudden, in the dining room, the baseboard heating started to rattle. And I turned around and I said, "Would you please keep quiet? We're having a conversation here." And all of a sudden, the baseboards really started rattling like someone was kicking them. And we took off running for the cook. I don't know what she was going to do to save us. But this other high school age waitress and I ran to the kitchen and said, "Oh my goodness, I think we just encountered the Walker House ghost." But that was my one experience with it. It was definitely realistic, and to me anyway. I mean, I couldn't tell you what it was, but that was my experience. So I did bring that memory into the book. Yes.
Oh, very, very, very fun. Yeah. And there are times where she's like, something's out to get me. And then there are other times where she's like, that was helpful. Thank you. And I kind of, I loved the difference actually. So I know you've answered this before, but why a retired fashion model for your main character?
Oh, thank you for asking. It started with my house. I walked into the backyard and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is a great place to take pictures and tell stories." And here we are. But as I wrote this, I realized it was a story about irony and friendship. Yes, she's solving mysteries, but I always thought, what would happen if someone who worked in a creative industry but yet was a mannequin wasn't allowed to be creative, right? The models are just muses, right? They're mannequins.
Mhm.
They the designers' ideas and abstractions and concepts are projected onto the person. The person really is just a mannequin. What happens if she worked in that career for a number of years and then came home and had to re-engage? So it was started with that irony. And then it's about friendship. Yes, she's solving crime, but she's over the course of the three books, Model Suspect, Model Wave, and Model Ghost, she's reestablishing her life and mainly her female friendships.
Mhm. And a little bit of romance going on.
And a little romance, yes. That's part of her reemergence, like as a mannequin. She tolerated a boyfriend who was gone a lot because that was her boundary, right? She
Mhm.
didn't really want to have somebody know her. But then as she comes home, she realizes, okay, I need more than that. Who's it going to be? She has two wonderful suitors. We don't know who it's going to be yet.
I have my preferences. I'm just going to say that right now. Um, So you represent actually two in this book, two very cutthroat industries, fashion modeling and magazine editing. And I'm just wondering if you have any like stories or anecdotes about either of those industries that you would want to share with us.
Well, that's a great question. Fashion and theater, or those two industries, as you say, are fashion and magazine editing. But I see them both as theater because anytime you put on a fashion show, you put on a wedding, right? It's theater.
Yeah.
And so I just see it as theater. And I have a great quote. Because I saw, I was like, what really is about what attracts me to that? And I realized when I read this quote, I'm like, that's it. Theater is a series of obstacles on the road to imminent disaster. Tom Stoppard said that. And I was like, that's a perfect premise for any book, right? A series
It
of
is.
obstacles to imminent disaster, and then you have to fix it all in the end. So I'm like, well, that works. That works for fashion, that works for theater. We're good.
Yeah,
So
well,
here we are.
exactly. Well, and even the referring to the models as mannequins, which I'd never really thought about, but yeah, you're there for the clothing, not for the you, as models go. And in theater and film, it's the same thing when I'm teaching acting. The actors are the muse. They are carrying the words. When I'm teaching directing, I'm like movable props. That's all these guys are. Don't let them get in your head. And
Right.
yeah, so same thing. It's just like, okay, move this, move this.
Yes. And it's fun because as writers, you are, driving the story, directing the story. And so you are moving these people around, you're dictating the emotion, you're dictating the action. And it's really wonderful. And when it comes together and you feel the plot, right, ascending and you feel the things gelling, it's really magical.
Yeah, yeah, very much. Um, so this takes place in the town of Cinnamon, which is a wonderful name for a town and also rife for puns, which I also love. So, what is it based on a specific town or bits and pieces of just places around Wisconsin?
It's places around Wisconsin. However, you may recognize a place called Cedarburg. And I worked in college at a bank with a wonderful friend who was from Cedarburg. And their nickname, like informal nickname, was Cedar Burgers. And I always loved it. And I was like, oh, how can you not love people who call themselves Cedar Burgers? And there's another high school town in Wisconsin, Monroe, and their nickname for their high school team is the Cheesemakers. And that is another reason
Oh,
why I love Wisconsin, because we can have fun. We just have fun. We're friendly, fun people. Why would you not want to tell stories about cedar burgers and cheesemakers?
yeah, I love my Wisconsin author friends. I love reading the books. Yeah, it's like, oh, my family were there. I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh, right.
Your main character, Mel, is sucked into another investigation, and this time she's running that charity fashion show. Have you ever been in charge of running a show or anything?
Um, I've directed a few plays. I've directed a few plays and written some one acts. And like I said, a series of obstacles on the road to imminent disaster. And that just worked for me. And so what, it's in the third book, there's model suspect, model wave, model ghost. In the third book, she had to confront her past. To move forward, she had to confront the person who really was, pretty nasty to her during her casting sessions in her career and really categorized her as too large for the runway, commercial only, body parts, fit modeling. So she really had to have that moment to confront that person.
Yeah, which yeah,
Right? We all need
well
it, right?
crafted. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to give anything away, but well crafted. Yeah, and just the fact that they say you're a body parts model is just it's so morbid.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's true that, but she accepted it. She made her money. She lived in a one-room apartment, walk up, saved her pennies so that she could have her future, and it's the books really are a testament to blue collar workers. One of her best friends is a delivery person, and I've strongly feel that delivery drivers need their literary moment because they're the knights of the road. Look at what they know about a small town. Look at the people they confront. Look at how they help people delivering medicine and things to people who might be lonely. It's the only person they encounter.
Mhm.
So I really wanted to bring that small town, blue collar moment to my books because I really value that and I believe in that. So
Yeah, and well, and especially in the smaller towns where they're so kind.
yes.
And uh, and like Phoenix, when it's 117, they're not. They're hot and they're grouchy.
Yeah, I believe it.
Um, so Melanie's cousin, Luella, so we have Mel and Lou, she is a hoot. I mean, there's just no better way to describe that character. Is she based on anyone that, you're willing to say, or is she some piece?
She is. She's based on several of my wonderful friends who we all know, especially in the Midwest, right? They party when the wind blows. They are always ready with a casserole dish or something for a potluck. They want to host the Packer games. They wear their team gear. They're meddlesome but lovable, and they always want the best for people. And the only people she really judges are Chicago Bears fans. Otherwise she loves everybody. But she can go overboard. She can push boundaries a little bit, and she's really Mel's foil because Mel is so withdrawn in some aspects. She really, while her cousin drives her crazy, Mel realizes that, look, I need to be more outgoing. I can move a little bit beyond my boundary.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I just love about Mel is how she almost magically just produces food. It's like, here, you need a cinnamon roll.
That's sort of true about Wisconsin, though, right? We do that. Like that you're born with that skill here.
That is just one of the reasons that Wisconsin is so delightful. So I do need to mention Max, who is Mel's rescue border collie. And part of the reason is because Max is just so smart and engaging and wonderful. And part of the reason is that I have a border collie. And so I'm like, yep, that's exactly what he would do.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't write a book without animals. I'm an animal lover, been a horse girl my whole life, and I had a forever dog, a Pomeranian who was just my shadow. He was the emotional support dog I didn't know I needed, but he
Yeah.
was. And I love border collies. I just think they're the smartest ones in the world. But I know everybody loves, no judgment here on any other dog. I love them
Mhm.
all. But the one thing about the phrase is perfect companions have 4 feet sometimes. And as an author, when you're writing books, those animal characters are fabulous because they reveal the people around them. They reveal truth. They reveal, they can sniff out negativity. And they're a wonderful device in a book for an author to use to show, not tell, right?
Right, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
and then I think two of the chapters end, animals know. And I love that. I'm like, yes, they do. If my dog doesn't like somebody, I'm like, there's a good chance you're not a good person.
Right, right. I mean, it says a lot. I have a romantic comedy series that I hope comes out. I got some, hopefully have good news with it. But I feature Pegasus in those books because I think Pegasus needs a literary moment.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want to see this beautiful, gorgeous creature with 20-foot wings? And I just
I'm
feel
there.
like, yeah, right? So they're magical, they're fabulous, they're truth tellers, and they're the perfect companion.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me know as soon as that's available. So, so you have a setting that is a senior center, and that senior center is kind of set up like a cruise ship, which is hilarious because you're in Wisconsin. So I'm wondering why you chose that particular theme.
Well, because I've never, have you gone on a cruise?
I
Have you
have.
done it?
I like them.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I have never. I love pontoon. I love a pontoon in the middle of Wisconsin Lake. That's my cruise, right? But I always wanted to, but I too tend to get seasick. So I thought, okay, why don't I just put the cruise ship on land and have all the fun? and shenanigans on land so I can go there. So like so much fun, right? Wouldn't you, as a senior, if you're retiring, you want to be on a cruise ship where you have the Lido deck, you have all the fun and games, you've got a
Yeah.
doctor on board, food, and you have if you want to feel like you're traveling, Wisconsin has four seasons. You're going to go through four seasons.
Yeah, it is awesome. I love it. And you should go on a cruise at some point because
Okay.
they are fun.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
they have like little wrist things that are acupuncture that help a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of people with the seasickness. I see
Okay.
lots of people on cruise ships with those.
Okay.
So anyway,
Because other
we'll talk
that's
later
good
if
to
you
know.
want to know what line to go on.
Oh,
Um,
oh, okay. Yeah.
all
Whatever line doesn't
right,
keeps my head out of the paper bag.
so
They usually end up like this.
it makes it less fun. It really does.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is next for the backyard model? I know you have rescue model coming up. Is that
Yeah, model rescue. So my log line for this one, and I'm just in the plotting stage for this one. At a billionaire's lodge, Mel Tower assists with establishing the billionaire's horse rescue charity, but when something awful happens, Mel must save the day to save her life.
nice? Nice. Okay. So I love the idea in rescue model that it's a horse rescue because I love that Fern has that and that Mel has Tulip, this giant draft horse. I have a draft horse in one of my books. There's so much fun because they're just huge. And you can do so much with them. So I am looking forward to that book as well. All right. So where can our fans find you, your socials, your website, etc.?
Oh, thank you for asking. I have my TK Sheffield Writer website. I'm on Instagram as the backyard model, and that's probably the most fun place to find me. If you want it, I have a fixer-upper house with this gorgeous backyard with beautiful sunrises. So if you need a little inspiration in the morning, check out my Instagram stories, and I'll usually give you a fun sunrise, maybe with some deer in it or some turkeys or something like that. So, and then we have our Blackbird Writer Substack and Facebook too. So TK Sheffield Author on Facebook.
Yes, and I highly recommend following TK Backyard Model on Instagram because yeah, it's like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's cute. I love that. Yeah, it's just
Thank you very
and
much.
look, she won another award. So that's awesome
Oh,
too.
thank you. Thank you. I share it with all the blackbirds. I love being among the group, and it's a wonderful flock and with so many talented writers. It's just an honor to be among the blackbirds.
We are so glad to have you. And we're so glad to have our audience watching today. Thank you so much for watching Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.